Grand Rising, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5 card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are, we have here the Nine of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Hermit card in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about this energy right now, because the thing with this energy that is very important to recognize is, and I want to describe it, it's a continuation of what we were effectively articulating in relationality to navigating through the intensity, right? The intensity of Jupiter retrograding in Cancer with the combination of Uranus retrograding in Taurus. Now, why is that energy so intense? It's working through the understanding, and this is just the thing that we have to recognize in relationality to that situation or circumstance. The modality of being able to effectively articulate or define or to work through something in such a way that one is able to identify that the work that we often experience in relationality to working through this type of energy, it can do a lot of work in terms of how one perceives the self. And this is why we were effectively articulating that at the time of navigating, it was actually easier. It was actually energetically easier when we were going through the retrograde cycle and we were having all of the planets in retrograde. Why was it easier when we were going through the modality by which we were navigating all of the planets in retrograde? Because the way I like to define it is effectively that experience is the space by which all of the planets were effectively shouldering the burden of the retrograde energy, right? The hard part about the energy that we're currently experiencing or working through is having a lot of energetic sensitivity, right? Feeling very, very energetically sensitive, and then feeling like everything else is activating around us, right? It's often the feeling, right? It's harder right now because with those two planets that are retrograding where they are, it can create the modality or the feeling of being energetically stuck in place. The modality by which we feel energetically stuck in place, as if we're not moving in the determination by which we ourselves aspire to. I am saying this to help you if this energy is feeling like it's getting the better of you, because and I like to describe it to a certain extent, the energy itself feels like it's not passing the vibe check, right? It's the modality by which we can feel energetically frustrated in the space by which things feel like they're flying by us in a way that feels like it's energetically, like it's impossible to effectively catch up. Helping to understand that is being able to work through and recognize that we navigate situations and circumstances with a sense of energetic proportionality. The ability to effectively allow that to motivate or to set our energetic pace. And I think that there's something important about the space by which we say it is a pace, it's not a race, right? That is literally the type of energy that we're seeing, right? Setting the pace, it's not a race. The modality by which we don't allow the feeling, right? We don't allow the feeling of having to move in a hyper modality, but effectively working into that energetic proportionality towards one thing after another. There's something really significant and important about that. And where it is having an impact, depending on where one finds oneself on the frequency cycles. First and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about the energy that is in solitude. And these are effectively This is effectively a lot of the energy in solitude has been in working through moon relationship energy. And those moon relationships were coming together between the time of Uranus that was stationing retrograde up until the present. And what do we see with a lot of those energetic cycles? It's working through the ability of having a sense of proportionality that we bring to situations, the ability of understanding. And this is what's beautiful about that energy right now, the modality of being able to articulate that sense of proportionality allows us to effectively set the pace. And so what's beautiful about that is those relationships that are coming together right now, the feeling of stability that they find in one another is the modality by which they feel like they are actively creating peace for one another. And that modality, and it's a work, it's the understanding that peace takes a lot of work, right? This is what we can expect when we've got Neptune and Saturn that are about to move into Aries, right? It's the modality or the experience of understanding how hard that work is, that we do the work, like we do the work of navigating our own energetic feelings to be able to work towards the capacity of finding that peace every day. And that experience, right? This is the energy. And I want to describe right now, we've got some different modalities that were occurring. For the energy that was working through this, I either see that these are relationships, individuals that are working right now on the relationship with the self, with the understanding that the greatest gift that we bring to our relationships is the work, is the investiture in ourselves, and the understanding of the difference between self-centered and centered in self. Now, what is the difference? This is important. What is the difference between self-centered and centered in self? Self-centered is looking at situations and circumstances by which one looks toward the world as a delivery system, the modality by which we feel like the world is there to energetically serve the self, right? That is the articulation of what selfish is. But rather the modality of being, and often, and this is what's wild about it, okay? What's wild about that journey is often in the same exact proportionality by which another person sees the world in that way, they will articulate, like someone who is energetically selfish will see someone centered in self and will articulate that they themselves are self-obsessed. But when we are in the space of being centered in self, we are obsessed about ourselves in the best way possible, right? And what does it mean to be invested in the self in the best way possible? It's the modality by which we consider our energetic position in relationality to ourselves and the world around us, right? It's not the space by which we demand from it, but the modality by which we look towards the world and say, what can I give forth to it to allow the ability to understand and recognize what it is that I'm hoping to energetically find there? Because this is how we effectively heal our relationships. And so that's what we see that's potentially happening for a lot of that energy that's working into the space of personal solitude, right? The investiture in the self that effectively heals relationship, because it's the understanding that the investiture in the self acts as a proportional mechanism to help us energetically discern the proper relationship for us. Because when someone comes towards us in a greedy fashion and when they see someone doing the work, right? Having that healthy investiture in the self and what it is that they're putting into themselves to be able to elicit or create that healthy partnership, they will articulate that that is selfish. And that is the gift of that. Because if a modality of another person coming towards the self, seeing all of the things that you're supposed to bring into healthy relationship, right? And what is healthy to bring into relationship? A healthy investiture in the self. If that's a modality by which another person says, you seem awful selfish with all of that care or concern in terms of how you approach the world, you say thank you, right? You say thank you to that self-investiture. That self-investiture just helped you to discern the energy that sees the world in the way that one does, right? The ability who understands that the investiture of the self helps us to give forth into the world around us, versus the energy that is looking for a demanding partnership, right? And what is the difference between, and this is what I keep on seeing, this is the energy, like this is beautiful for the energy in solitude, because this is the journey that says the self investiture acts as filter of discernment in relationality to those that recognize the power of coming into healthy relationship that is tantamount in doing that, right? So there we see that that's a lot of the energy in solitude that's working into that capacity. Now, this brings us to a lot of the energy that is moving deeper into partnership right now. And these are those magician relationships that we articulated were coming together between the time of Uranus stationing retrograde up until the solstice period that we experienced this summer. And these are the relationships. And the reason I want to articulate that these relationships have been so hard to energetically come together is specifically and particularly, and this is what and I want to tell you in a way, I need to just point this out. All of those planets that were in retrograde during that season, that was almost like a red herring, because the hard part that was happening in the midst of all of those planets being retrograde had everything to do with Chiron and Eris being in such close proximity in retrograde. Because what does Chiron and Eris in proximity in retrograde cause? They create situations and circumstances that feel very coincidental, circumstances and situations that feel very similar to intentional trauma done. The modality of having to navigate a coincidental experience that felt very, very similar to something that was intentionally harm, that was intentionally done to the self, and working through that with a sense of proportionality, right? Not allowing it to get the better of the self, but allowing it the ground by which one can build. We just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy working upon that capacity, it's taking time, it's taking effort, taking a proportionality as it relates to how to navigate situations that feels like a healthy breath of air for the energy that's moving deeper into connection with one another, because it's the energy that sees, right? It's the energy that identifies and recognizes how hard they work to be able to create that peace for one another. And so we see that for a lot of that energy facilitating and doing that work, it feels like the energy that is articulating. This might feel like for some of those relationships finally hitting, I want to say like finally hitting like cruising altitude is what I like to describe. Finally feeling the modality of getting into a space by which one feels energetically stable in relationality to what it is that you've been trying to do versus how it is that one is trying to arrive there. But it hasn't been easy, because I keep on seeing, like for a lot of those relationships, it's navigating a lot of those rocky circumstances and being able to articulate the difference between an internal problem versus an external one. I do see some separations that are energetically occurring at this time. And the modality by which I'm identifying the circumstances that are requiring or resulting in separation have to do with the understanding of working through the lesson that feelings don't fix things. The ability that, and again, it's also not the modality by which you can't fix things by sharing feelings, that the modality is the understanding that the work that we do to understand our feelings requires us to refine upon the feelings. It's building into the understanding of what it means to honor something. And to honor something is to understand the energetic weight of what we are carrying. So the energy that is working on not just the expression of emotions, but the investiture to understand what the emotions are asking for. And this is very difficult, because I even see if these were modalities by which there was a separation occurring, potentially a separation in relationality to someone having two strong feelings that rise up in the context of building into healthy partnership. This is why it's so important that we do not disassociate in feeling our feelings, because the best relationship you'll ever experience will make you feel things you've never felt before. So the ability to understand and recognize the understanding of surrealness, right? Not feeling afraid of the surrealness that often happens when you enter into a healthy partnership. This is the modality by which, if another person is recognizing an energetic pattern by which another person articulates the desire to be in a relationship, but every time they move closer to it, they can't navigate the intensity of the surrealness of the feelings that naturally arrive in being in a partnership that is making one feel things that one hasn't felt before. That energy, identifying, right, identifying the progress away from something, right, identifying the modality of the energy that moves further away instead of deeper in. This is the identification point that is potentially articulating a healthy energetic separation, that another person identifies that the issue has to do, that it isn't enough to have a manifestation goal. You have to be able to navigate the capacity of the new feelings that will arrive, that will inevitably arrive as you move closer towards it. This brings us to the center card for today's spread. And that is, can I get one card to clarify? The Five of Pentacles in its reversal. So what are we seeing there right now with the Five of Pentacles in its reversal? We're identifying a lot of work, and this is bringing us back into the temperance relationships. And what are we effectively recognizing with those temperance relationships? And I want to describe this. The temperance relationships were effectively coming together between the time of Mercury, between the time of the Uranus stationing retrograde, up until the time of Mercury and Venus stationing, and this is what's important too, because I just want to point this out. This disambiguation that I'm talking about is what the energy is experiencing. So these are the relationships that were coming together between the time of Uranus stationing retrograde up until the solstice period. And for a lot of these relationships, that is the type of energy that we see that they're working through. Navigating the static, like literally navigating the energetic static of working through what felt very similar to a Venus in retrograde cycle. And the reason I'm articulating this, and I just want to be clear, is when we identify the fact that Jupiter retrograding in Cancer can already do a number on our hypersensitivity, and then you add to that Uranus stationing retrograde in Taurus, which makes us feel like something isn't transforming fast enough. And then you add to that, right? Then you just add there the amplification of Venus feeling stuck between Mercury in retrograde with Mars ahead of, well, not Mercury in retrograde, Mercury behind Venus and Mars ahead of it. It was feeling the hyper intensity of that energy that felt like it energetically amplified, right? It was like taking, it almost like, it was like taking, that is the approximation of taking the combination force of Jupiter retrograding in Cancer with Uranus retrograding in Taurus and just cranking it up to 11, because it's the modality of feeling, the questioning of the self that often creates those feelings of energetic confusion. And even in the modality by which we recognize and identify a lot of that energy working through modalities and experiences like that, what is the healthy gift of counterpart? Doing the work to help amplify and clarify the energetic view, being able to allow for that sense of proportionality as it relates to what it is that we're working through and what it is that we're trying to do in a better way. So for a lot of those relationships, the gift that we see that is happening with healthy counterpart is the ability to be able to see things with a sense of clarity or the proportionality. And so it's beautiful. And this is like, it's a conversation about the beauty of a healthy partnership, helps us with our own self distortions, right? It's easy to get too hard on the self as one is working on trying to do something better. But the modality by which we work through something, and this is what's beautiful about it, counterpart often acts as a healthy mirror to help us dispel the energy of our trauma that makes us energetically feel like we're moving in the wrong direction, while simultaneously and similarly potentially helping with others' projections of us that we know are not energetically true. So there's a lot of that work that's happening there, and I keep on seeing it's rough, but it's working through the roughness of the self that leads to greater refinement. Now, this brings us to the energy that is deep within the deep within divine union right now, and these are those magician relationships. And those magician relationships were coming together between the time of the solstice period that we experienced this summer up until the time of Mercury and Venus stationing direct behind Neptune, that we saw or understood that was, I want to say that was around March of last year. Can I get 2 cards to clarify upon that energy, please? 2 cards. We've got 1, 2. Thank you. We've got the Death card in its reversal in combination with our 5 of Wands in its upright. So what do we effectively see that's occurring right now for a lot of those relationships? A lot of those relationships that we're seeing right now, I feel like they're going through a lot of strength cycles. That energy is already deep in Aries, is what I keep on getting. And why do we see that energy is already in the capacity of being deep within Aries? Because effectively what we're identifying that is occurring there is working through, I keep on hearing, working through the energetic context of being able to identify and recognize what one is trying to do in a greater fashion. And the thing about it is, it feels to me like that's a lot of energy that is working very fundamentally on communicating upon their passion. And the thing about passion, and I keep on getting this coming through with a lot of those magician relationships, it's it's the identification point of being able to energetically tell the difference. I keep on hearing the difference between, and it's interesting because it says to me, it's like working through the difference between what feels energetically passionate, what feels like it is driven with a sense of proportionality and purpose, versus those modalities or experiences wherein another person isn't making a lick of sense, is what I keep on seeing. And the reason I'm effectively identifying this right now is, and you'll remember we spoke about the fact that those magician relationships were working into the understanding of recognizing and finding the self. And what's interesting about that energy is when we and I keep on hearing the same message that's coming through for those magician relationships. Like when we know ourselves, we know where we live, is what I keep on seeing. We know where we energetically reside. And that's the modality by which I keep on seeing that is the experience. I'm just seeing with those magician relationships by which everything, like I keep on hearing the eagerness, right? Like the eagerness for a conversation that allows for an egress is what I keep on getting. And why do I keep on hearing the eagerness that allows for an egress? Because the modality by which we energetically welcome a conversation articulates upon our own healing journey, right? the modality or experience by which we feel energetically ready to talk about things. It's very nice. It's a very nice system. You'll see it's a very nice system, you'll see, because our eagerness to effectively articulate upon something is working into the space by which we feel the we feel the energetic passion that allows us to be able to articulate upon something that has a lot of meaning to us. And so those experiences and those modalities, I feel like that is the vibration by which those situations or circumstances are navigating conversation. And it's hard, right? Because I keep on seeing I keep on getting the same, like the same energy that's happening there. They're building into healthy relationship via the fabric of healthy communication is what I keep on seeing. The energetic eagerness by which they articulate upon where they find themselves is literally building into the fabric of the relationships that they are discovering and fortifying as they continue forward in healthy partnership. And what's beautiful about that is I just keep on seeing that, and it's interesting too, because did you notice that even as I started to read for this, there was a lot of energetic clearing that started to come through. And that is effectively working through a lot of the difficulty point that energy is navigating, because the modality by which they work through the energetic space by which they feel energetically excited to articulate something, but working through the modality or experience of another's roughness. That is what's hard about situations, because I keep on hearing the energy said is literally articulating someone saying it shouldn't be this hard to come into partnership. But the modality by which they're articulating that it shouldn't be this hard to come into partnership, because they're going through a maturation cycle that feels very akin to one that one might experience as one is growing. The modality by which you work through others' hardness as you're energetically maturating, it's working into the context by which what you wish that you could resolve within, but you can't resolve because you recognize that it's not something internally that needs to change. It's something that you're energetically experiencing as a result of one's own maturation. And so I keep on getting that energy that's like working through that pain. But even in the context by which they're working through that pain, they're finding, right? They're finding catharsis through new energetic relationships that understand how painful that can be in the experience of having it occur. This brings us to moving back towards the energy and solitude right now. Clarification between our Nine of Wands in its reversal in combination with that Hermit energy. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Strength card in its reversal. And it's interesting too, because I just want to point this out, and this is just like a fun thing that happens. Sometimes when I've got two different Smith-Waite decks that I read into right now, and as much as I try to keep them separate, as much as I try to keep them separate, from time to time, one of those cards creeps into the other deck. And so this is a new Strength card, is what we're effectively seeing. And why are we identifying that there's a new Strength card that's arriving into the context of the energy in solitude, right? This is the energy in solitude finding a new source of strength, right? Because that is the energetic gift that we find or we arrive to in the context of building into the healthy understanding of the self, right? Because, and it's a continuation point in recognizing and identifying that this is a continuation of the understanding on why it's so important to do the work on the self, right? Because everything that one would bring into a healthy relationship will be articulated as a negative in an unhealthy one, right? If you arrive into a space and you're energetically confident and someone is not ready for a healthy relationship, they will articulate and see that and say, oh, it seems like that person is too energetically full of themselves, right? If you're in the modality by which you're healing by understanding what is yours to apologize for versus being able to recognize what is not, another person will literally articulate that you're not apologetic enough to move into a relationship, right? When we understand, and this is what we keep on seeing, when you're working on healing, prepare for another's projections. But what's beautiful about that is when you recognize that they are such, that they are projections, then you understand that the projections help you work in terms of defining where you are needed, right? Because if you bring an energetic blessing into a place, if you bring the blessing of yourself into a place, and all you experience are others' projections, right? That is not the space by which you change the blessing to accommodate for others' projections of it. It's the understanding that that space, like that, moves us towards sanctuary, right? Because when we hold the sanctuary of the self within, we can identify where it is without. And those modalities, and I keep on getting, I feel like for a lot of the energy, working in that capacity, that identification point, and being able to articulate how important it is to hold the person of the self in a state of exquisite, because it requires the space by which you can recognize when another person is trying to take advantage of it. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, working through that, it's working into the space. And I keep on hearing a lot of that energy in solitude, identifying and recognizing the difference between forgiveness and energetic leniency. And what is the difference between forgiveness and leniency? Forgiveness is the observation of being able to do something, and in the context by which one is able to do it, one is able to amplify the energetic changes that one is trying to bring from it. The modality or the experience by which we are able to articulate upon the energetic plan going forward that allows us to bring clemency to a situation. So that's the gift that we understand in relationality to the two-sided system between forgiveness, asking for a plan. You can't come towards somebody asking for forgiveness if you don't have a plan, because if not, you're just asking for energetic leniency. So the modality by which one is able to articulate and define the space by which one articulates and identifies what one is trying to do for further coming forward point of healing, that then is met with energetic clemency. I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy. I've got two different modalities right now that's working through this in solitude. This is the energy that is allowing that gift of the self to help identify the relationship that feels like it is the energy that prioritizes the person within the relationship, right? The personal priority that we find within ourselves that we then helps us guide towards the energy that prioritizes us in kind, while at the same time deeper relationships right now that are energetically deepening because they recognize and value how hard they work to be able to energetically prioritize the energetic piece that they are working to build for one another. Right? And that's what's beautiful about it. And I keep on getting, and this is what I keep on seeing. I need to point this out. In some of these moon relationships that are coming together right now, they're not codependent. I keep hearing no codependency. I got to stress it. I got to stress this. There's like zero, I keep on hearing they're interdependent. They're not codependent. They're interdependent. And what is the difference? What is the difference between interdependence and codependence? Interdependence is the modality by which we energetically celebrate the modality of feeling energetically, the gift of independence that we bring into relationship, right? Because the modality by which we feel that sense of confidence is the gift that we energetically bring to counterpart, right? It's I keep on getting, it's not the modality by which they have to always be doing the same thing. It's the modality by which they find joy in doing things together because it makes it even better. That brings us to the Hermit card in its upright in combination with our Five of Pentacles in its reversal. And that's what's beautiful about this, because a lot of that energy, and we see a lot of that shift that is actually that is energetically happening right now. And this is bringing us into those temperance relationships. And I want to describe this. This is a little bit of the difference between the temperance relationships and the moon relationships, because with the space by which the temperance relationships are working into the mutuality, right? The ability of doing something energetically in a mutual way that navigates or articulates upon the energetic clear mirror that we have, that builds into the context of what it is that we're trying to do in a greater fashion. And that's what I keep on getting. For a lot of for a lot of the energy, like I would not be surprised right now if some of these moon relationships are finally finding their groove, is what I keep on hearing. Like a lot of those moon relationships right now are finally getting to the part where they feel like they can start to work through, like identifying what that groove is. For the temperance relationships, this is the relationship that is working on polishing the self. And what do we keep on seeing in terms of the polishing of the self? This is what we can expect that occurs, particularly and especially. Remember when I said like this type of energy with Jupiter retrograding in Cancer and Uranus that is retrograding in Taurus, like the space by which we often feel like we're in a rut is the space by which we understand and we're able to work through. And like the rut doesn't exist, right? All I keep on hearing, like that's basically what counterpart says, right? I don't believe in a rut. A rut doesn't exist. Everything is just an opportunity to fine tune something, is what we keep on seeing. So for a lot of that energy, that's where we see a lot of that work that's potentially happening. Clarification between that Hermit card and the Five of Pentacles in its reversal. Yeah, there you go. Right there, there's that Ace of Pentacles in its reversal, which is again, it's working into it. It's like I just keep on hearing that with those temperance relationships. The rut, like when we feel like there's a rut, you have to snap out of it. The rut doesn't exist. Everything is just an opportunity to refine something even further, is what I keep on seeing. And that's what we can expect with like Venus now moving forward past Mars as it continues on its journey, right? The love, the love that drives us forward, even in the context by which we don't feel like something is happening, understanding that a lot can be going on under the surface. Now, this brings us to those magician relationships and clarification between our Five of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Star card in its upright. Now, this is bringing us back to the work of those magician relationships. And the hard part that we're seeing with a lot of those magician relationships right now is I literally see the energy trying to articulate to another and saying it shouldn't be this hard. Right? I can see the energy literally building into healthy relationship. And that's what they're saying. It shouldn't be this hard because it's working through. I told you, there are energies right now that are working through, right? They're effectively working through the modality or the experience by which they recognize or they feel the energetic frustration, right, of doing, of not, I keep wondering, having not made any changes beyond moving into healthy partnership. And in the modality by which they enter into healthy partnership, they feel the experience of feeling, of going through a modality or experience that amplifies or articulates upon something that doesn't feel necessary, right? Like they're going through, I keep wondering, like they're going through unnecessary energetic trauma that for no other reason than the fact that they're making healthier choices. But that's the hard part. Like this is often what we navigate when we're going through a maturation cycle, right? The modality by which we, and I want to describe this too, because it's actually, would you like to know where the root of the word haze comes from? Haze comes from hard gaze, right? It's the gaze that is hardened in the modality of another person energetically maturing through something. It's the modality by which, like, that's where the origin of that word is, the hard gaze, the navigating the space that when you're going through a maturation process, be ready for a hard gaze, which is the modality by which another person sees you making healthier choices, and it brings up a lot of their own unaddressed, unhealthy shadow work. So that's where we see that a lot of that energy comes through. And that's what the energy is effectively working through. They're working through the modality of navigating others' hard gazes. But in the space by which, and this is what the energy is effectively articulating, even in the modality by which they're building into healthy relationship, because I keep on seeing a healthy relationship navigates a hard gaze, because it's the understanding that when we're in a healthy place and we see a healthy relationship, the only sound that we should hear if we are in a healthy space is applause, right? It should not create clause, it should create applause. It should create the modality by which we energetically aspire to be able to find that within ourselves. It should not create the ire that we often feel when we're too deep in our ego, in relationality to something that we're working through. So that's what I keep on seeing. Like these are the conversations that I feel like a lot of those relationships are having as it relates to feeling like they're not doing anything but trying to be in a healthy relationship. And yet, right? And yet they're experiencing a lot of that uncomfortable energy. Continuing to get clarification between the Death card in its reversal and the Five of Wands in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? We've got here the Knight of Cups in its upright. And I think this second row is really beautiful. And if you are a tarot nerd, I would encourage you to head over to the stack today to be able to see the full spread, because what we're effectively identifying, and I like to point this out, and we're moving back towards the energy that's in solitude. And this is why we can tell it's an alignment day, because this often happens when I get a message that's coming through the divine, like deep within the energetic field that moves back into the energy in separation. Others' hard gazes are respectfully not our responsibility. And this is what you have to understand. Unless, okay, unless another person's hard gaze carries a grain of truth within it, right? Unless another person's hard gaze carries a grain of truth within it, which is something that we can work on doing better, right? Something that we can work to energetically try to amend. That is the gift, right? The gift to be found in others' hard gazes is it helps us energetically refine the work upon the self. But the ability and the understanding of navigating the difference, those who give, here's the sad truth about it. Those who give hard gazes rarely find happy partnership. Those who are in the space of giving hard gazes often rarely find healthy partnership. Because what happens in the modality by which you're working through the hard energetic gaze? When you're working through the space by which you're having a hard gaze towards something, you are literally saying to the universe, right? You're seeing, and you have to understand why it's so important that you work to heal this, okay? The universe is not a mind reader. It bases itself on energy. Okay? And if you are saying, you cannot be in the modality by which you say that you are looking for healthy relationship, and then every time you see another person in one, you give it a hard gaze, because all the universe sees, like all the universe sees in the modality of you doing that is the modality by which you say, I want it, I want it, I want it, and then you see it and you go, you go, I want it, I want it, I want it. And then you see it and you go, yeah, right? Like you put all of this anger and frustration towards it instead of feeling the energy of experiencing it. And the universe cannot give it to you, right? The universe cannot give it to you if you articulate the fact that you desire it. But then every time you see it pass by you, you confront it with a sense of bitterness, right? Because that is literally giving the universe conflicting directions. That is literally saying to the universe, I want it, I want it, I want it, except when I see it, and the universe says, can you please clarify how are you going to walk into it if every time you see it, all these energetically hard feelings come up, right? Like this is working through, like it's working through. This is why we have to work through our shadow work, because when we work through our shadow work, our energy starts making sense. Okay. When we do our shadow work effectively, our energy starts making sense, which is the modality by which we say, yes, I want that. I would love that. And then we see it, we go, oh, I love that for them, not, ugh. And so this is what we see. And so I feel like there's a lot of energy right now that's working through that modality. And this is why we work through, and this is what we understand. It's not enough to have a manifestation goal. You got to be good with it yourself in relationality to how you feel as you move closer towards it. Now, this brings us clarification between our Strength card in its reversal and the Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify? Yeah. I want you to kind of, and this is what I keep on seeing in relationality to a lot of the energy in solitude, healing their desire for partnership. And the thing you have to kind of see, and I like to identify, the best way I like to describe this is a healthy manifestation is a conversation with the higher self, right? And I like to point this out. Like I want you to think about the healed energetic child, right? Let's think about the healed energetic child for a moment. And what does the healed energetic child say? The healed energetic child goes to a parent and goes, can I have something? Right? And the parent goes, I don't know. What are you going to do with it? And the energetic child goes, I'm going to be responsible with it. And the energetic parent goes, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if you're ready for that manifestation. And what happens, and I want to point this out, what is often the architecture by which you navigate a responsibility and being able to recognize something, right? The modality by which you don't throw an energetic fit, right? The modality by which you're like, where you get angry or upset or you start pounding your feet, right? And if you're in this modality of understanding the relationship between parent and child, the space by which one gets volatile rarely creates the modality by which one articulates the readiness for in the ability to energetically move towards something. But this is why we have to work on our shadow work effectively. Because the modality by which, and this is what's beautiful about it, thinking about a manifestation, less in the context of saying, where is it? I demand the relationship and I'm not leaving here until I get it, is often the modality by which you will never energetically find it. That is literally the modality by which the volatility by which we energetically seek partnership is not conducive to finding the healthy relationship, because the modality by which we build into the sense of saying, I want one because it's going to make me feel like it's going to energetically share upon my own energy. It's going to allow oneself to feel like it's the investiture in the energetic frequency by which one is able to move towards. When we work upon, and this is why we identify that the work that we do on ourselves is the best pathwork to finding healthy partnership, because it's when you think about it like that, you're constantly in a space of blissful divine preparation. You're constantly moving into the space of blissful divine preparation, which is the modality of understanding that is the context by which we find preparation. It's the modality by which we say, I am working towards something, and I might not ever see it, but the modality of knowing that every step I take along the journey of trying to find it is the energetic prayer. It is the energetic bliss. It is the modality by which one says that the gift is found in the journey, not in the experience. Because when you hold it in that proportionality, when you find that space of coming into the understanding of how preciousness that journey is, then you often move into the modality by which you find it. And it's not the space by which you look at the manifestation and say, where is it? Why isn't it happening? But the space by which you say, I'm good either way, right? I know myself. I understand what it is that I was energetically seeking. And that's the modality by which we often work towards our energetic deliverance, and the modality by which we stop energetically searching for it and start giving forth towards it. Now, this brings us to the Ace of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with the Star card. And this is moving us back towards the energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now, those temperance relationships. We've got here the Ace of Swords in its reversal. And we've got double ace cards right now. There's double ace cards. And I will also point out we have the same thing happening. This is a new sword. This is a new sword. New strength card, new sword card. These are some of my new cards that have slipped into my old deck. But the thing is, and I want to describe this too, and I am of the opinion, an ace is an ace is an ace. I don't care about the position, about whether the ace is in its upright or in its reversal. It's still an ace. It just means something energetically different in the context of receiving it. And what do we see in the combination of Ace of Swords and Ace of Pentacles? And I know it's going to sound cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. It is better to give than receive. But the word better is not the word, is the important thing about it, because it betters things, right? Manifestation is an act of bettering. Manifestation is an act of bettering. Because when you think about it in that proportionality, when you understand and recognize, right, that you're looking for something, right, when you're energetically trying to move in determination of coming towards something, you don't just stay there. Like if I saw you, right, if I came up to you and I said, where are you going? And you said, I'm going over there. And I said, okay, how are you getting there? I'm waiting for it to come to me. Excuse me? Could you repeat that? I'm waiting for it to come to me. Why are you waiting? It's literally over there. You have to go that way. You have to go that way to get to it. No, I know I'm practicing non-attachment. So I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to stay here and I'm just not going to do anything for it, but it's coming. It's coming. I feel it. I feel like it's coming. I just need to stay here. Manifestation is the act of bettering. Okay. Which is the modality by which you can recognize that it's coming towards you. But you know what helps make it expedited is if you take some steps in that energetic direction, right? If you work into the space, and this is what we look at. This is why we fall in love with our manifestation, because then you say to the universe, you come out into the space and you say, how can I better it today? How can I add some better? How can I add some better to the desire of something that I'm trying to move towards? How can I make it better? How can I get closer to it? And when you think about that every day, right, not the space of whether you arrive, but whether you made the space in terms of being able to receive it energetically better, then you understand that that is the gift. That is the universal gift that you bring into everything, because it's that modality by which you give forth that allows you the context of being able to receive. Because what does the universe say? Oh, look at that energy there, just making things better and better and better and better and better and better and better everywhere they go. Right? I wonder where that will grow. I wonder where that will grow. I wonder where that will grow. And that's what we see that that is what those temperance counterparts are saying, right? Don't get hard on yourself. You're not in a rut. You're planting seeds. And when we recognize that, when we identify the feeling of feeling that slow down, then we welcome the productivity, because every opportunity, right? Even when we feel like that we're moving slow, there's always opportunities to grow, And often the modality by which we experience the slowing becomes a blessing because it allows us to be able to effectively grow further in different ways. So I just see that that's a lot of that energy that's articulating and saying to each other as they're working through a lot of that feeling, right? You're not you're not in a rut. You're in the process of growing. You have to be patient with yourself on that energetic journey. You have to find joy in it. Because if you don't find joy in the journey, when you get to where you're going, you're not going to find that joy there either. We bring the joy with us. We bring the joy with us to our manifestation goals. It's a BYOJ thing. It's a BYOJ thing. You have to bring your own joy. Continuing to get clarification between our star card and the Knight of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Wands in its upright. And this is moving us back into these magician relationships. These magician relationships right now, like I can see it. It's really frustrating because for a lot of those situations and circumstances, I literally see the energy that is eager. Like I can see the energy that is energetically eager to try to work something out, right? This is a lot of, and this is what's so hard. This is what's so hard when you're in a healthy space. It's not the fact that you don't desire to heal something, but healing, I keep on hearing, healing is like we can only do what we can. And this is also, it's also a conversation of manifestation because it's the same space that we see. That energy is working through something that's more difficult, which is the space by which I keep on hearing the same message coming through. You can welcome a healthy conversation, but you can never chase down a healthy conversation because if you try to chase down a healthy conversation, it becomes an uncomfortable confrontation. The modality by which we work through something is the amplification in terms of working through or identifying what it is that we're trying to do better. Like what it is that we're trying to effectively, I keep on hearing like what it is that we're trying to do in the best way. And I want to notice, I want to point something out here. There's something really important that's happening right now in the realm of patience because I see I see those magician relationships that are literally doing everything they can to navigate all of the energetic expectations around them. There are relationships right now that are reaching energetic closure points because another person being energetically volatile in relationality to the time it takes. But that's what I keep on seeing in relationality to that understanding because this is the energy, right? These are energies, these are magician relationships that are healthy, that have found healthy partnership, and they're building into new energetic relationships with energy that gets it, right? The energy that understands the prioritization point, that honors the energetic priority of the relationship and works into the space of not taking, I keep on hearing, not taking things personally, taking them energetically profoundly. The ability of feeling like, and this is what I keep on getting, and this is how some of those magician relationships are moving into some of the same energy that we were seeing that was happening as a result of the moon lessons, because it is the modality by which when we're energetically busy, right? When we are deep in our busyness, then we don't get upset with another person being deep in their busyness, is all I keep on hearing. It's like, that's all I keep on. I just keep on hearing that same message coming through, right? It's very much like they're very much in B energy, which is basically saying like when we're deep in our busyness, we do not take others' busyness personally. We get it, is what I keep on saying. So there's a lot of that work that we identify or recognize that is energetically occurring there. But even in the modality by which that's happening, it feels like, I keep on hearing, like it feels like energy that is finding profound generosity in the context of being able to work through something, but not just being able to work through something, building into the amplification of celebration in terms of finding energy that doesn't take their busyness personally. Continuing to get clarification between our Lover's card in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Swords in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Justice card in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about this Justice card and its reversal energy. And the thing I keep on seeing in relationality to that Justice card in its reversal is it's speaking to me back, moving back into the energy and separation. It's wonderful because I see some energy in solitude, and it has to do, and remember when I said the energy in separation, but that's what I keep on hearing. This is the energy that's recognizing that there is no separation, is what I keep on seeing. Like that that is what I keep on seeing, that the energy is working to resolve or dissolve within the self. There is no separation when we are energetically good with ourselves, right? When we are energetically good with ourselves, there is no energetic separation. The modality by which the energy is working through the modality of building into the sense of energetic completion. And I keep on seeing this, the completeness. And here's the thing about it. The completeness, it's not the space by which we're ever energetically complete, right? There's never a modality, and you're when if you think that you're if you think you're finished, you are in danger. You're in danger. The modality by which we understand that working into the state of understanding or being good with ourselves is the space by which we're constantly scrutinizing ourselves, right? Being complete means always being pursuant of going deeper, right? Being complete is always pursuant of going deeper. And this is why I feel like I'm getting a lot of strong indications that the next energetic cycle that we see that we're moving towards are world partnerships. Because I just keep on feeling like a lot of this energy is coming through right now. Because it's the energy, like I keep on seeing that these are the path work. This is the path work that understands that the way that we find what we're looking for is to energetically become it, right? Not saying where is it, being like, oh, I have to answer the energetic call if I'm not seeing it there. That we step into it. We don't step away from it. We don't search. We actively work to be the force of change that we hope to see. And I see a lot of that energy in solitude taking that direction as it relates to moving towards healthy partnership, right? That is the energy that says, this is the energy that says, like, I am in a relationship. I keep on hearing this energy going, I am in a healthy relationship with myself. Would you like to become a part of it? So I keep on hearing. That is the vibration. That is the vibration that I see that a lot of this energy is bringing into the relationships going forward. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Swords in its reversal and the Two of Wands. Yeah. And this is a continuation that we see here, clarification with the Chariot energy. And it's interesting too, because this is bringing us back to bringing us back to a lot of the work that we identify or recognize, the temperance relationships. And this is the hard thing with some of those temperance relationships. These temperance relationships are often in the context of understanding, and this is what's hard for those temperance relationships. The space or the understanding, and this is what I kept on getting. When energy is deeply reliable, it's often the modality by which others, and I keep on seeing this here, the modality by which there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse on this planet than seeing energy that's responsible and then trying to get more from energy that's responsible by them trying to articulate disappointment in what they're energetically giving. Unhealthy energy will try to take advantage of reliable energy by articulating to another and saying, you should be energetically, it's giving me this modality of be very conscientious of someone, seeing someone with an open heart, that tries to take advantage of an open heart by saying, shouldn't you be giving more? Is what I keep on seeing. Like the modality or experience by which another person sees an open heart and then tries to squeeze it is what I keep on seeing. And I just keep on hearing the same modality. There's nothing worse on this earth than seeing a gentle heart and trying to squeeze it. Because the modality by which you navigate that is the space, and I keep on getting, and this is why I keep on seeing to a certain extent for some of that temperance energy. That is the modality by which they get energetically overprotective of one another, is what I keep on seeing. There's a lot of protectiveness in that energetic cycle because the modality by which the energy recognizes, right? I keep on hearing the energy going, they're in the space by which they're constantly checking. Like they're constantly in the space by which they're navigating their own space. But this is the modality by which we often have to work through, because you will be in, and this is just the sad truth of it, you will be at the apex of your energetic generosity. You'll be at your energetic limit in relationality to how generous you're giving, and recognizing and identifying the modality or shape by which another person demands more is often the context that helps us see the full shape of what it is that we're working to heal from. And that's why I keep on getting that is a lot of the energy. And it almost feels like the energy by which, like, I feel like it's a pathwork by which energy was working through healing some kind of sense of shame in relationality to, and I keep on hearing energy that is trying to take advantage of your generosity will try to make you feel shame for not giving more as they're already receiving the energetic bounty of what it is that you're trying to give them in the first place. And that's why I feel like there's a lot of that energy that works on feeling very protective of counterpart, because I just keep on hearing that energy say that they, like, their ability to energetically perceive that, or that ability to energetically recognize that, is the shape by which they say, like, I keep on hearing the energy saying, the temperance relationships to each other saying, protect your precious heart, which is the modality that says that the space by which another person does not see you in the modality of generosity and makes you feel, like I keep hearing, makes you feel that isn't energetically beneficial. But the modality by which they articulate, and I keep on seeing this, we work towards healing that within so that we can perceive it without. Because I keep on hearing the demands of the world are loud. And you have to understand, remembering we've spoken about the fact that when we haven't healed, from the first wound that we arrive here with, that is necessary for existence, that gimme, right? That there is the modality by which we understand that it is the space by which we work towards putting forth to things. But in the space by which, when we, like I keep wondering, we ask for what we need and we give forth to what we desire, is all I keep on hearing. And the ability to recognize the significance upon that helps us feel energetically fortified in relationality to understanding and feeling good in the direction. I keep wondering, the direction of doing everything that one can do to change something, but not in the space by which the change that you aspire feels like it crushes you under the weight of not being able to do enough towards it, is what I keep on hearing. Final card for today's reading, between our Justice card in its reversal in combination with the Chariot card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. And this is bringing us to those magician relationships. And the thing I keep on seeing with those magician relationships is, I keep on getting, it's working through the quality and understanding of recognizing what one can change, and building into the context of not being too bitter in order for something to get better, is what I keep on hearing. And what do we see in the context? And this is what's hard, right? And this is what we navigate with, like, a healing journey, right? because there's some things that we hold on to. And in the modality by which we hold on to it, it's the space by which we hold on to it because it's energetically important. This is what we identify that's recognized in proportionality to having a standard. But the modality by which, and this is what I keep on seeing, that a lot of that energy deep within divine union is wrestling with. The modality by which we effectively we recognize and identify the space by which we allow another the ability to effectively change, right? The modality or the experience by which we allow for that proportionality that another can change. It's the space by which we hold hope towards it, but we don't project our patience into modalities or experiences by which another person does not recognize that they are receiving it. Because the modality and the experience by which we work through an energetic sense of roughness, but even in the modality by which we work through that roughness, but we're energetically proportional in relationality to allowing another person to recognize and identify if they are too deep in their energetic ego about something. That's what I keep on seeing is happening there, because I keep on hearing this energy that almost articulates upon the fact that they don't want to effectively force a conversation. I keep wondering, you cannot force a conversation when someone's deep in their ego. Because when someone's deep in their ego and you try to force a conversation, then immediately they get hyper defensive, right? It's like when they're already deep in their ego and you try to have a vulnerable conversation with someone deep in their ego, like the ego effectively activates. And that's why we talk about the fact that the ego acts as a wall. It's like impossible. So that's why I see that for a lot of the energy working through that, it's like I keep on hearing it's allowing the context of trying to heal and trying to be energetically proportional as it relates to how they're navigating another person's hard ego, but trying to allow the context of giving another person the opportunity to help recognize and identify like what one could be doing that would allow for the capability of being able to facilitate a positive change towards something. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, it's hard because I feel like a lot of that energy is working deep in the space of navigating others' hard feelings. But and this is the thing about it. When we're in a healthy space, we can talk about our hard feelings. You know, like that's the beautiful thing about it. The beautiful thing about it, and that's what we talk about. Like when we're in a healthy space, it's not about the fact that you have to remove all of your hard feelings. But I'll tell you right now, if you ever want to get fortified in relationality and making sure that you're not too deep in your ego, talk about why you're energetically frustrated. If you feel silly talking about it, then ta-da, like there's the ego, right? If something's bothering you and you feel silly articulating it, then that's usually the modality by which you recognize and identify the egoic journey. But the modality by which we're effectively able to articulate from a space of vulnerability, right? That's what's beautiful, because here's the thing about it. When we've got hard feelings and we're working to heal them, it's the desire that the hard feelings will become softer, right? It's the modality that says, I know I've got these hard feelings, but I'm holding on to them because in the modality of understanding a conversation would soften them, it's the ability to understand what is needed to be brought to a conversation that would effectively heal it. So it's literally the energy diagnosing the situation by being able to articulate upon what it would take to allow something to move into a state of easement. And that's usually a healthy space because it's being able to identify and recognize what the manifestation goal is and being in a space of being able to help to talk about it. Bottom of the deck on this reading, Knight of Wands in its upright. I'm going to say it again. One of the things that we see here, and it's been coming through a lot in the readings, a healthy manifestation is one that can be that can be shared by all. A healthy manifestation is one that can be mutually shared. I don't know how many minutes. A healthy manifestation is one that can be mutually shared. A healthy manifestation is one that can be mutually shared. It's the most important thing. And a lot of the modality or experience that we see that's happening right now, recognizing and identifying this, don't proceed forward until you check your heart space, right? The modality of understanding that the work that we do is allowing for the context of being able to build into a state of betterment. And even in the context of relationship, right? This is why it's so important, because the way that we heal, right, is working into the context of healthy relationship. And you'll often notice this. I need to point this out. Even in the space by which another person tries to belittle another person, when you recognize someone who hears the space of another person getting conscientious or concerned about relationship and being like, oh my gosh, you're like, oh, you're so upset, like you're so obsessed with talking about relationship. Pay attention. This whole experience is the modality of navigating the correlation of energy against energy. Everything is about relationship. And the modality by which we it's not a small thing, right? And it's painful that we don't talk more about it. We work really fundamentally in speaking upon learning how to read, how to write, right? How to do things. But the modality by which we understand the nature of carrying our heart space and how we effectively build into healthy relationship, that builds into the thing that we need to do at every moment. And the understanding that we should have a healthy obsession about relationship, because when you're in a healthy relationship, it is literally being in the space of bliss, being mutual obsession that builds into the fabric of healthy partnership. But, and that's the thing about it, if we're not good with our own energy, we'll constantly be seeking something like that, and then we'll be looking to the world to deliver it, failing to recognize that it isn't something that you're given. It's something that you work towards. It's something that you energetically earn. The modality of looking for partnership is not an outside journey. It's an internal one. Because the more that you're able to work on this, the more that you can find it outside of the self. And I feel like that's a lot of the energy that it feels, and I keep on hearing, especially for the energy in solitude, like working into the context of doing that work and then hearing someone say, nobody wants a relationship anymore, and being like, does nobody want a relationship anymore? Or is the fact that you are articulating that you're looking for a relationship that isn't actually a qualifier of a healthy partnership, but just the state by which another person exists to serve your need? That is the lowest common denominator of a relationship. There's no satisfaction to be found in the modality by which we are just there to serve each other's needs. And then and then you can't say, "Oh, I don't understand this. I'm just looking for someone to serve my needs." And then you find and go, this does not look like that relationship. Why am I so miserable? Why am I so miserable in this relationship? I found someone to serve my needs. Because that is not what a relationship is for. And the more that we start to stop looking at relationship as the space by which our needs are met, and more the space by which we become more of who we are, that is why we build into it by going inwards. We don't look for it. We become the force that would effectively attract it towards us. And it takes work. It takes a lot of that and you also have to be very, very welcome. You have to, in that space, you also have to welcome rejection. Because I guarantee you, in the modality by which you are building into, you will walk into a space being another person's manifestation. You will be everything that person has ever dreamed of. And if they have not navigated the ability to feel the things that they've never felt before, they will energetically wreck it. Because again, it's not just asking for things. It's about being energetically prepared for the feelings that come along with it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way that you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. I would encourage you to do it there. Couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who came to our most recent tarot class. We've got tarot class this week. Our next tarot class will be held tomorrow at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the World card. If you would like to become part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material as a monthly subscriber and access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions about anything that we've learned and studied thus far. I do my best to give you a recap on everything we've studied. If this is the first class you'll be attending, you'll be in a perfectly good space. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the whole year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified you'll also be able to go there to learn more about a very special retreat that I'll be hosting this August. I would like to invite you to join me between August 8th through 13th, where we will be studying the tarot in the locationality by which the tarot was first discovered or documented to be discovered. We will be traveling to Italy to sharpen our tarot skills, and everyone who participates in that retreat will not only be receiving one-on-one personal education from me, but you will also be receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journeys and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. I also want to let you guys know that if on top of my standard life, and you can find all of that over on my Stack. And if you sign up now, this month, we are offering a $200 discount to anybody who registers. So if you'd like to secure that discount, make sure that you sign up sooner rather than later. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again